All right, good morning, my friends. It is Friday, April 5th, 2024. Let's go ahead and jump back and take a look at what happened here yesterday. Quite a sell-off, and I have to say we have to pat ourselves on the back here. Another incredible morning where the high of the day was exactly where we expected there to be trouble. So let's take a look at this. So we came into the open yesterday. There was a major area of resistance from 53.02 to 53.05. That was where we expected, or where we really wanted to see the bulls go ahead and rip out and get above, right? That was expected major resistance. Sure enough, the market came up, and right out of the open, if you would have shorted the top end of that pocket, you took on a couple ticks of risk and you got a really nice little fade right down into the VWAP. Now, this right here was an attempt by the bulls to go ahead and rip back higher. And then as you can see, here's the failure. It's basically a peak above and fail. I talk about this like every single day, right? We got a major high in the market, right in our expected resistance, pulls back, bounces, what do you know? Right off VWAP. And then you get this little peak above and fail. And if you even scrutinize the price action, it's like they got right above the 05 and then used it as a support, and then got right back below it, and then it was resistance again, and then bam, that began this major sell-off. And this, I don't know, Thomas Barkin was speaking. So Thomas Barkin starts speaking right around here. Next thing you know, the market takes this huge tumble, and we get this crazy correction in the market, right? So here we are seeing the bulls recover from the major pullback. Remember, we talked about in the previous report from yesterday, we're in this big pullback, and we're in this big pullback, and then the bulls recover a couple days ago and start to push the market all the way back up. So if we go to the high time frames here, just to take a quick look, and there's that major resistance we came into yesterday. The bulls were recovering, kind of like we've seen in the past, where we get big sell-off, recovery, big sell-off, recovery, big sell-off, recovery. So we were in this big sell-off at the beginning of the week. We started recovering, and it looked like we were going to come right back up to test the all-time highs. And then we came right to our first expected resistance pocket right there, our area of contention for the bulls. And then that was the high of the day and this huge rip lower. So kind of expecting a recovery, and then right from our first resistance, we get this big sell-off. So let's look at the details of that sell-off. Right after they made this peak above and fail, you can see we get our crossover, we get price falling down below the VWAP there, and then it's just a super, super aggressive rally, right? So shorting the back end of the fast moving average, barely even touched it here a couple times, and then bam, you had that nice opportunity there and this opportunity. And then it was so aggressive that there really was no stair step. It didn't kind of come back to kiss the back end of these levels because it was just so heavy on one side, right? And just went right down. They did come back and come up to test right into the 50% of the previous day. So that was kind of the first little stair step off of our roadmap level because it was just too aggressive on all these other pushes. So we get right up to the 50% of the previous day. Beautiful opportunity to short with limited risk and capture a continuation to the downside. And then what do you know? Probably the biggest bounce out of this whole sell-off happens right off our next roadmap level down here. So as the market's selling off, coming all the way down, they come right to 33. That's been a really great level that we've been relying on. And bam, double bottom and a pop to come up and kiss the back end of the 200, and more accurately, right off of our roadmap level. So we started to get a little bit of stair step, right? 50% of the previous day, gets through this major scaffolding, bounces off our roadmap level and comes right to the back end of our other roadmap level, and then continues on its merry way, and then hits the back end of the 200 there. There's another textbook hold of the 200 with divergence, kind of like here as well. And they keep going to get another bounce just around our scaffolding, but then fails once again off the 200. I mean, when we're in a directional market, guys, the fast moving average and slow moving average give you some unbelievable trade entries. So continue selling off. We get another breakdown through this roadmap level, kiss it to the back end, and then down through the bottom of this roadmap level at 08, kiss that a couple times to the back end. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. And then the end of the day, what do you know? The low of the day is, for all intents and purposes, our roadmap level at 51.97 area. So the high of the day, if we go all the way back, look at how far the bears got here. High of the day was our first expected resistance. They did peak above at one point and then fail right off of it. And then the low of the day, after this big sell-off, they come right to and bounce nearly to the tick off this next roadmap level. So I don't know, it kind of blows me away. And that brings us here into the overnight session, and we are bouncing. You can see they kind of peaked down through this roadmap level at the end of the day there, and now they tested it in the overnight session just a couple ticks below, basically testing the previous daily low here, only to peak below and now bounce. And notice when they bounced, they pulled back and held the roadmap level area again to push up, right? So here we are coming to the open. We actually do have, this is an earlier broadcast, so we're starting about an hour or two early this morning. And so we have non-farm payroll coming up in about an hour. And, never know what's going to happen with that. And insane pushes, insane jumps in volatility when you have NFP coming out. So be aware that about an hour before the New York Open, we have the NFP news drop. And as anyone who has a couple months of experience in the market, you guys know NFP can be a real move, and that would set you up for a potential larger rotation or at least a huge jump in volatility. So be aware of that. Let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames.